I made this interview with Dr Alemayehu last month at Yale University. I was there to exhibit my photographs on the church forests of Ethiopia, and I was able to sit down on a panel and discuss with him. I then later had a one-to-one discussion to get him to explain the story. These photographs have appeared across the world in different magazines and exhibitions in places like Nature and National Geographic, and also The Guardian and other places around the world. And yet, any change on the ground, it seems, is due to this man. It's a massive challenge. There's over 35,000 churches, they think, and only 70 have church walls protecting them. So please stay tuned. Please get a nice cup of Ethiopian coffee, sit down, relax, enjoy some of the photographs, fall in love with the place, and listen to what Dr. Alemayehu has to tell us. As he says, these are incredibly important to local communities, and yet biodiversity is for all of us, the whole world. Thank you for watching.
Every corner of the world has its own unique biodiversity. But when you say unique, it doesn't mean that they are only for that specific area. The value, the contribution of biodiversity is universal. My name is Alemayehu Wassie. I am a forest ecologist by profession. And my specialty is studying Ethiopian Orthodox Church forests. Let's put it in a historical perspective. Some research showed that some 100 years back, Ethiopian highlands, the northern highlands, used to be covered by 40% of high forest. But because of agricultural expansion, settlement, and grazing, that now has come down to 4%. Still, there are remnant forests here and there. So these here and there remnant forests are those forests are preserved by Ethiopian Orthodox Church. We call them Ethiopian Orthodox Church forests. So the very purpose is having a worship place, but surrounding the worship place, every church has a forest. I think we estimate more than 35,000 of them do have some sort of forest, because still the agricultural production is increased not by productivity, but by expanding horizontally. So every farmers neighboring these forests try to push more. And cattle herding is based on free grazing. So every time, the cattle are out there, they want to have some green space, shady, and something to eat, so they go to this forest, eat up the seedlings. So we sort of that, these forests are being degraded. I would say in those areas where we are able to create awareness, to do some conservation activities, the forests are in a good status. Even we are witnessing expanding outside and being connected to each other. So in that sense, we have places where we see positive changes. But in another where we are not able to go there and create awareness and do some practical works, these forests are going down, degrading both in quality and quantity.
Why is it the Ethiopian church forests have survived? What is it about their teaching?
Well, because two things. One is the church has very solid eco-theology, preserving every God creatures, if not in the whole landscape, but at least in a place where we say it's a house of God. So they have really very, very well-defined teaching. So what the church says is really accepted by the community. So there's a mutual respect, a mutual understanding helps them survive. For one thing, it is a stewardship. Every creature, human being is the head of the master of every creature, so he's responsible. So at least in the church that should be exercised. This forests give some kind of prestigious and charisma for the church, Most of the churches, are built on the top of the hills, so they are very exposed for windstorms and others. So this forest gives really protection, a very nice atmosphere for prayer, contemplation, and solitude for hermits and monks. So it's a mutual kind of thing. So far, very slowly, few number of church forests every year. Now we have reached like 70 forests. So what we do is, first of all, we try to demarcate by negotiating with neighboring farmers, getting more space, and then we do what you call conservation wall. We call it conservation wall, using stones and rocks in the surrounding. So this, the very purpose is trying to exclude livestock, not human beings, because they have a gate. Humans can go in anytime, but they exclude cattle who really destroy small sapling and seedlings. The second advantage is they are a physical barrier and very solid. They cannot be pushed by farmers, inward. The third is by itself, they are themselves a good habitat for reptiles like lizards, snakes, which are really good for the ecosystem. And anytime we want to expand, you can move the stones and then rebuild again. So they are very simple. Then the second is actually this forest used to be part of one big forest. So virtually they are connected. So we are helping them connected again by creating a bio corridor or a green corridor, just 10 meters wide, and then this forest would be connected again and help each other. But because we have really built a trust among us and the community, what we need is mobilizing funding, This funding would help for tracking some stones, because in some church forests you don't find rocks. So we try to mobilize from a distance, and then we bring the rocks, then they build it. So I think what we need is creating awareness internationally, and then mobilizing some funding. And even if under this conflict there is a possibility of working, because you work with the community, and once you get the trust, it's possible. These areas, specifically the northern highlands of Ethiopia, is the source of Blue Nile. The hydrology is always protected by forest cover. When you lose the forest cover, when you lose the watershed vegetation, that means you lose everything. Blue Nile, with its 80% water contribution to Nile, originates in this area. And preserving Ethiopian church forest means make sure Blue Nile would flow as it used to be for centuries. Ethiopian island, then Sudan, then to Egypt. And that means really a big corner of the world. Every corner of the world has its own unique biodiversity. But when you say unique, it doesn't mean that they are only for that specific area. The value, the contribution of biodiversity is universal.
But you've got 70 walls of 35,000 so far.
Yes, but still we have different plateaux to reach. The first is 200, and then we have to move to 2,000, and then final destiny is reaching 20,000. By then, we are able to maintain the northern highland.
If you found this helpful or inspiring, please like it, share with others, and comment below. I'd love to do more videos in the church forest to explain more about them. If you want to help contribute to the church walls, there's a link in the caption. And thank you again for watching.